Tom, we've moved on to the Birmingham City game, third round proper of the FA Cup 2014-15 season. We've talked about all the other rounds leading up to this. Quite an extraordinary occasion, quite an extraordinary build-up.
Yeah, build-up was... you can understand what pro footballers go through and pro managers go through on a daily basis. You know, you got a little taste of that. Obviously, Peter Jeffries ended up on Question of Sport. Yeah. Didn't know what happened, but...
Well, the Question of Sport producer rang me. I just answered the phone. I was answering the phone all the time. She said, it was a lady, so-and-so from Question of Sport. I said, hello. I said, can you help me? I said, well, I'll try to. I said, we're trying to get in touch with you. Keeper Peter Jeffries would like to be on Question of Sport. I thought, are you winding me up?
Just unbelievable, isn't it?
No, but they paid for him to go over in the train.
Yeah.
He's quite keen to do it because I spoke to him. I said, well, look, I'll ask Peter. And I thought Peter might not quite fancy it. Yeah. But he was up for it, and he went across and did it, and he reunited with Shearer there.
It was somebody, he said to me, I'm on Question of Sport. I says, God almighty. I says, are you sure? He said, they're going to train down, pay for it, they're going to pick us up in a limousine or something, or take us to the studios and Manchester studios and that, and they did. And what Peter was saying is they looked after him massively. It was really good time for him, and he had a penalty shootout with the guests, like with the guests and that. And I don't know if Shearer scored or not, but
I think he did. But Peter made a save.
Peter made a couple of saves actually.
Yes.
And it was just brilliant. It was, again, credit yourself and the media guys. The name was out there, which for us supporters and people living by was all about promoting the club, but promoting the town as well was massive.
Through the club, yeah.
And that's the way Blythe has always been. It's always been, the backstory's always been about the town behind it. And we have went through an awful lot as Blythe people. Some bad press as well. But that was the time to really promote what Blythe people are all about. You know?
It was all positive stuff.
Oh,
very joyous as well.
It was good, that's a good word. It was joyous. You enjoyed it. It wasn't a chore. And since I've been caretaker manager, assistant manager, and all the time I've spent with Blythe, it's never ever been a chore. It's always been a privilege to be part of it. But that just was a special time, a joyous time, and it was all good, you know. So that happened, and then we had press conferences, and then we had the FA Cup draw at Hull City. Yeah. Hull City's Marine Life Centre. And I used to work for a company Hull at the time, actually, company doors. And I worked for them, and it was great because we took Stephen Turnbull down. Stephen Turnbull got asked to come down, and Tony took him down, and we went there. Steve Bruce was manager of Hull City at the time, and his son was there, Alex Bruce. Steve Bruce gets a lot of stick for what he did, well, at the time he spent in Newcastle. What an absolute lovely bloke. And so we went in, and there was Alan Shearer and all these superstars, and I said to Stephen, look, we'll just go in the corner with Tony and sit in the corner and keep away from these lot, because obviously we didn't know them, so we sat in the corner. Then Steve Bruce came across with Alex Bruce and shook my hands and said, Stephen, that was an unbelievable free kick. Unbelievable. He said, I was watching it and I nearly broke my leg jumping up off the settee watching the game. And Alex Bruce was lovely. You know, they get stick because they're put in situations where something doesn't match them with the club. You know, Steve Bruce is a big Newcastle supporter. Yeah. Come to Newcastle, it didn't work. You know, but it doesn't make him a bad person.
No.
But what a lovely bloke. You know. So he come across that at the table, and Shearer come across, mentioned the goal as well. Twinny by this time thinks he's playing for England at the time, but he deserved it because he's a great guy. So that happened. Then I said, I'm at the loo. So I went to the loo, went to the toilet, and Saggers, the guy did the match of the day. The draw. Mark Saggers, yeah. He's getting changed in the toilet. Right. So I'm walking in the toilet, and he's sitting there just with his shirt and his long yard. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? He says, this is the BBC. This is how the BBC work. Great bloke. It wasn't Sag, it was Chapman. Mark Chapman.
Oh, Mark Chapman, yes.
Mark Chapman.
Yes.
What a lovely bloke. I'm having a crack in the change rooms, in the toilets. I'm having a crack about what's going to happen and so forth. He said, I'll ask you a few questions, and I'll ask 20 some questions, determine some questions, and he did. And they sort of had a pre-draw, which they did, and then had the real draw. And then the famous, when we got drawn against Hartlepool at home, Twinny's face was like thunder, you know. And they went on the turmoil, and obviously Twinny said something like, oh, well, we could have had better, or something like that, you know.
Yes.
But that's just him being honest.
And he's right.
And he's right, yeah. No.
He's thinking about Man United or Chelsea, Newcastle or something.
So we had to try to put a positive on it, which we did. And then obviously that got the supporters up right up, and they put
They did.
a bit more in the game, you know.
Yeah.
And then we had question of sport all day. So Dan Walker came down, and we had the cameras at the ground, and from
Football Focus. Yeah.
From the morning all the way through. We had the Norwegian voters back, and we had Talk Sport.
Talk Sport were there. They were producing the whole programme from Croft Park.
Unbelievable.
As were BBC.
Like Stan Collymore was there. I'm sure Stan Collymore was there because he mentioned the Carrick Spartans on.
Yeah, I invited them to maybe be interviewed because they were on the pitch and they were interviewed. I was talking to Gray recently about that, and they really enjoyed that.
So, and obviously Collymore's from Carrick, so it was just unbelievable. Graham Swan came into the change room.
Yeah, Swanee was like a guest through BBC.
Alan Shearer came back in the change room.
Because Swanee's dad played cricket for Blythe.
That's right.
Blythe,
and he had relations in the Avenues.
Yeah, he did.
So he's actually lived in the Avenues and all that. Lovely bloke. In the day, it was funny because we had the Ultimate game at home, felt special. We had the Hartlepool game, felt special. It was the only game that felt pressure. The only game that felt.
It's really interesting.
Why
is that, John?
There was trepidation.
Okay.
There was trepidation in the change rooms. Then we had the massive blow of Alex Nicholson coming in injured, and then really woke up and he was ill with the flu. So I had two players who would have started ruled out straight away before the game started. It just felt everything about the day were having knocks, little things knocks, you know. But it was a great day.
Yes.
The pre-stuff, you just felt the pressure for the first time. The first time in that run, we just felt that it was a big day.
It was a big day in terms of the side we were facing, obviously, and the media was really ramped up, wasn't it? A number of TV vans and cameras and everything going on. It was exciting, certainly from my point of view, but it was all very unknown, I think. Yeah,
it was a pressure. The first time I felt pressure in ever as a manager. And everything went the build-up went right, other than the two injuries. Alex would have played, really would have played. And that would have made the bench stronger. So the way we looked at the 18-man squad you had for a cup runs, you had seven on the bench. And we looked, when we had them two starting, the bench looked stronger. So what you had to do is take two off the bench to start, which made the bench not look as strong. Yes. And we knew we needed that bench. A bit like Hartlepool, we knew we would need the bench after 70 minutes. And we need to bring that quality on, and that just the way that we needed that extra legs to come on. So that was a big blow for them. We knew Alex would have probably played the full game, and we knew that really would have played probably 70 minutes, and then he would have come off and somebody else would have come on, which is what we did all the way through the cup run.
Yes.
So we lost that before the game, which was a big loss, and I think that took the edge off the way the players felt. And then we had obviously Swanee coming in, and then we had Dan Walker come in, and it just felt big.
Yeah,
it felt like a big occasion.
It was a big jump. It wasn't just up a stair. As it were.
Yeah, it was
a couple of up to then. It was like
it was the top.
4 steps.
It was the top, and then as the game started, before the game, they were bringing. Obviously, they've got the changing rooms. It's not a big changing room. I've never seen so many crates of gear being brought in. They were like they've got these big 3-foot square boxes that they bring in, the wheel in, and they were just wheeling. But they brought a van, like a big van up with all the kit before the team got there.
Yeah.
And it was, and they brought it in, and they couldn't fit it in the change room.
I remember the guy coming in with it. Came early.
I've never seen so many boxes of Lucas in my life, in bananas, and you could have fed 3,000 people, you know. And the kit man, there wasn't enough kit to put up, there wasn't enough coat hangers and all that sort of stuff. So they were coming, and the manager wasn't happy about it, and you could tell they were on edge as well. You could tell they were there to be shot at. So obviously things went on, and game started. We had a good talk before the game. Managed to zone them into the game, and then the Robbie Dale show started. He was just absolutely.
We talked about him earlier in the season interviews, and that was just one of his days, wasn't it? Certainly finished off. The goal
Robbie
was extraordinary.
Didn't say anything in the change room, nothing. The typical Robbie Dale. I thought every game he stood up, quiet. No, say to Colin Myers, Robbie's a bit quiet, but they're like. He's very like an insular sort of person. He's very. He gets into these zones, and he said, and he just absolutely took them to the cleaners, you know. He was absolutely unplayable, and it was right, going back where he should have been sent off. He did that horrible tackle on the centre forward. It was 9 foot tall. The Czechoslovakian guy. He's a I can't his name now, but he was about 7 foot. He was huge, 6'7" I think he was. I think he was he was, other than Dan Burn, he was the biggest player in the football league as well. So he took him out with a horrendous tackle.
And is it in the halfway line? It was a bizarre place to commit a chance like that.
But that was Robbie. He was in the zone. He was in his own little zone.
Yeah.
And Robbie was never going to be defeated. He was just like a warrior. He just took this kid out, and I'm thinking, that's a red card. That's a total red card. And I think he got booked for that. He might have got booked for that.
I think he got books.
But it was horrendous. And then
it could have been a red card. I mean, Swanee in on the shoulder was sitting.
Sillage or something was called.
It's got to be off there.
And then the same kids missed a chance a yard out.
Yeah, it was a chance yard out, wasn't it?
Isn't it? And this is an international player, you know. It was a typical the Croft Park bounce. It was. It came across him. He was a yard out. It bounced slightly, but you know he must have had size 17 feet. So you would have thought
it was impossible to miss.
So he missed that, and then obviously Robbie's started turning on and 2-0 up.
Great goals as well.
Oh, great goals.
Just play so calm, finishing.
2 goals up, and really, I wouldn't say bossing the game, but really being comfortable in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
But our energy levels were sapping. We had cup runs, we had league games in between that. We were, you know, everybody keeps forgetting we were second bottom of the league or something at that time because I had so many backlog of games. I had a bit of a run in the trophy as well on top of that. But we were second bottom of the league with about 10 games in hand. So we were catching up all the time midweeks, midweek games.
The cup run we've talked about so far, I mean, emotionally it's very draining. People might think with footballers and everybody else, you just get on with it, but it must have taken a lot out of you and the players.
It was a surreal moment, and then we went in the change room. And normally we're calm in the change room. Normally we're sitting down, we're calm. And there was a lot of things happening at half time, especially with you had the press. Kate were trying to get in and do. I think Dan Walker coming in and trying to get in, but we wouldn't let him in.
No, he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but it was just the way that they'd done things. They were trying to have it so that we did an interview coming off.
Yeah, nobody goes in the change room. You mentioned this in different context here, and
so
he seems
it just wouldn't let them. So
that was wrong.
The spin-off was we'll do something if they're coming off. So we had a couple of minutes coming off. Went to the change room, and I mentioned before we had 2 players who were injured before the game started. We didn't have a big squad, and the players were going through the backsides. They were really, really tired. They brought 3 players on who were first team players. Novak came on, who was on fire for them at the time.
There were loads of internationals in that team.
Oh, yeah, they had a Welsh international come on, they had the centre forward would come on. Novak, they had a kid in midfield who was, I forget his name now, but it was colossal. He was, and they just stepped up gear, scored early on, and then obviously scored three goals in very quick succession. We weren't getting battered, but they just stepped it up. The quality stepped up, and we couldn't live with them. And that's what I'm saying about the substitutions. You play what we consider our strongest lineup, and then you bring the other batch on, who are just as good as a batch going off, with the energy.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that sort of to come on. But seeing that, after the third goal, we should have got an equaliser. I think it was Danny Parker back post. Missed a chance to score ahead on the back post, and Nipper had a chance near the end as well. So they went 3-2 up, and we came back in the game again and started to push and push and push. And they had a strong side out at that time to start with. Then the subs have brought it on even stronger, and they were holding on to the end. And they actually, it was a sigh of relief when they won the game, you know. So it was the end for us of that cup run. It wasn't the end of the club, it was the end of the cup run. Very emotional because of everything you've been through. You know, we played, every team we played were top of the league in the prelim rounds. We played a top conference side. We played a local Hartlepool side. You know, a side which should have been better than us, a full-time side, local, not local Derby, but a Derby as such.
It's brilliant, especially by media, wasn't it?
Oh,
North East Coastal Derby.
Everything about the cup run was special, and you got to imagine we were part-time players. You know, they were all had jobs. I remember them doing a bit on our Matty when he was at before a game, and they come to the house, and they did. It was a Hartlepool game. They come to the house, and they did a bit about having their lunch, and a bit about having the breakfast, and all the way through the camera stopped with them. And then they went to play work with Ken Beattie's place, who was chairman of Morpeth, and all that. And then went for his haircuts, the jewels down Blythe, and they got a bit of stuff, a bit of coverage on it. And then they come to the bus, and the guy was on the bus with it all the way through to the game. And then we had that famous thing when they come up to the Laverick at the top, and there was a Blythe Spartan supporter. I think it's Kevin Scott. I'm sure it was Kevin Scott. Full Spartans gear with a shield and a spear, pointing. He was pointing to the motorway on the way, and you just think, what the hell is going on here? But dressed in the full gear, full Spartans gear, pointing to the way to Hartlepool. And I'm thinking, you couldn't make this up. So all that sort of stuff. The press were brilliant, the media team were brilliant, supporters were brilliant, and it just hit. It just absolutely, it's like being hit in the face. It was just like smack. That's it.
Yeah.
Finished with them. We did a bit.
You did a bit of talk sport afterwards.
Did a bit of talk sport, yeah.
They used the phrase when the circus is out. Tom, what's it like now that the circus has moved on? This is a question.
It was, and it was like turn the tap there, and I said to them, look, you can understand what people go through. Walks with Jake, I listen to it all the time, but they were absolutely brilliant people.
Yeah.
And it was like, I said, it's a strange thing because now it's gone and you're just a nobody again.
It was the Monday or Tuesday after the game, I think.
Yeah, and I said, it's tough, you know. And then, and they were great. And they were saying, we followed the cup run, and it'll go down in history as a great cup run. And they mentioned about the Birmingham game, and I said, look, I didn't expect to get beat off Birmingham. I said, I know it sounds stupid, but I expected not to get beat. But it's funny, when we're 2-0 up, it was the only ever time I had doubt was when we're 2-0 up. You always, just a bit of doubt crept in my mind. That's probably not been good enough at that time to get over the line. But I don't know, you just felt when you were on the up. I always remember Harry Dunn said it was the time when you're at the weakness is when you're successful, because the next game could pull you down, and that was what it was like. So it was a surreal day. And then after that, I had a bit watching Jacobs and BBC radio was on, and did a bit for the Radio Castle. then it went, and it was gone. And then we played Frickley.
Yeah, that's a different world.
Then we went to Frickley on a Tuesday, was it Wednesday night? Wednesday night actually. And if you ever want to go anywhere to get your feet on the ground, it's Frickley.
Yeah.
Anywhere to bring you back to reality, it's Frickley. We got beat 2-1. Bud'll gave a penalty, which was never a penalty. He had a centre forward player that was absolutely outstanding. I can't remember his name, but he was unbelievable. But he was, we didn't get battered. We got battered from the supporters. The two guys who were managers, Dudge and Michael Rose, were good friends of mine. But you can tell that was their scout. So before the game, I would always speak to them, and I didn't support them. And the games of shit from their side was, and I would have done the same. The games of shit from their side was pretty brutal. The supporters were very brutal. But again, that's Frickley, and you've got to take it. And then we're going to be 2-1. It was all kicking off. And it was the best thing that ever happened to us, because we got brought down reality very, very quickly.
And how did we do in the league after that? How, did we quickly adjust to...
The league were unbeaten in 22 games. We lost, I think we drew about 2 games in 22. Yeah. We were absolutely... Yeah. We nearly got in the playoffs. Yeah. I think we finished just outside the playoffs by goal difference. Remember, people have got to remember, we were bottom of the league. And we had, at one time, about 12 games in hand. And we had a little squad. But they were unbelievable. So the Frickley game was the biggest kick in the teeth you'll ever get. But the way that players took it was unbelievable, and it made them into the players they are now. Because Frickley's change room's tiny, and to get there is really weird. But I've got great respect in the management.
Lovely people behind the scenes.
The great people, great club,
Simpsons,
a proper Northern League club, which I love going to Frickley, and people hate it, but I love it because you get given it, you can give a bit back, shake hands at the end, and that's what you do. You know, I always shake hands with the supporters there, and you get on with it. But it's switching the tap off is a probably understatement.
Yeah,
it brought me down to reality about. The reason why we're there is to make Blyth Spartans into something that it deserves to be and something that it should be, but work hard to make sure it happens. And when, the club was in a special place there, and it should have kicked on, and it should be done what Gateshead's doing now. Gateshead didn't have any more money than Blyth, but we should be in the conference level now, pushing for league football. Because of the legacy we left was huge, especially with players who are 23 years old. The new to society was 23 years old players, not even in the prime yet, who had been through a lot. You had Robbie Deal in his prime, Stephen Turvin in his prime, add a few to that, we had Paul Robinson added, we had 3 or 4 good players added to the squad, and it should have been. It reminds me when Mick Tate took over. Mick Tate should have been in the conference when he had Brashy in the end player.
Yes.
Swalesy had a good side, and they were, I think they were top of the league at one time, and they just fell off at the end and never got in the playoffs. I think they might go in the playoffs, but the players are hard. They should be in the conference, and I think the opportunity we had at Blyth at that time, finishing off from everything that happened that season, Blyth should have been. Now sitting in the conference and sitting pretty.
Okay, thanks Tom. We'll just stop it there and I'll have one last chat with you to round off this review of the cup run that year. So thanks again Tom, speak soon.